Okay, so one of the first things I like to do when I take my compressor out of the box and I've got the splash shield off is I want to make sure it's the right one. That doesn't look the same. That's not really a big deal. And I know from testing the plug that this is not the same. We can cut the original plug off and put it on here. I'm guessing that's what you're supposed to do. But that bolts forward. And that bolts through the side. Definitely not the same compressor. So, that's going to create a situation. That is definitely not the first thing I do. First thing I would do is go to my air conditioning playlist and check out how to check that. Most of the time, you're going to find that these freaking AC compressors are not bad. So you need to go through this flow of diagnostic or you're going to be wasting $300. This lady wanted hers replaced because I was replacing the condenser, which you're going to see in a couple days. So I had to do it. Hey, and if you want to help the show out, turn the playlist on at night, turn the volume down, and let that sucker play. Then you won't have to listen to me ramble. If you decide to watch it, then I know a lot about air conditioners, or you're going to find out that I don't know shit. Really hard to tell these days. My name's Clay with the Clayway here in Muskegon, Grand Rapids, Michigan, over in Western Michigan. If this video is helpful, please consider subscribing, giving us them thumbs up, and clicking them notifications. If you've got a question for me and it isn't baby mama drama related, you can look me up on Clay's AC and Auto Repair on the Facebook Messenger. I try to help everyone I can for absolutely free. Remember, no matter what it is you're doing in life, if anyone else can do it, you can do it too. Oh, don't be the next to them. Be the absolute first to you. Let's get on with the show. Because we're going to be going up and down with our long tools. Today's word of the day is long, by the way. We're going to put our jack underneath our control arm just like this. All right, so they make a tool for removing this belt. I think we can get away with using a screwdriver, or at least I hope we can at the moment. We're going to turn the harmonic balancer with the 24mm, but I think I'm going to first remove the securing bolts, because then that'll make the compressor kind of floppy and probably make it easier to get the belt off. First bolt, 13mm. Second bolt, 13mm. The top bolt is really long, and the bottom nut, well, it's just a nut. Down here in the bottom rear, there's an electrical connector. You're going to slide the plastic gray clip backwards, and then you're going to push down the clip to release the electrical connector. I'm going to try inserting a screwdriver like this into the belt, and then I'm going to take a 24mm and I'm going to turn the center bolt of the harmonic balancer. Once I get it turned a little bit of the way, I might even insert another screwdriver in there so I can take both screwdrivers and pry it apart at the same time. We are going clockwise. I couldn't barely move that ratchet that I got out of my kid's toy box, so I went and got a real man's ratchet. Or is it a sissy man's ratchet because it's so long? I like long things. I have tons of them. And look now, the second screwdriver does the trick. I know what you're thinking. Anybody could get that belt off that way. This is a 5mm socket that goes on here, and we're gonna unscrew that stud. He said stud. I got me an extension to make my swing longer.
I guess it's better than pulling out the old Viagra, eh?
I guess I'd be known as the Viagra of the automobile repair industry. Whoa, that sucker's long too, just like me. Now I'm fully aware that I don't have my switch unplugged from the back, and I don't have my lines off of here, but I'm thinking that I'll be able to put this in a better position to be able to work on it a little bit if I take this out of here first, because I don't want to hassle in difficult places and only tight places. I'm grabbing a longer 3/8. I'm going to take this extension and I'm going to run it down through here to get it onto my AC line. Okay, trying to place my 13mm on there it actually dropped, and I couldn't find it because it was all down in here. It didn't drop on the ground. Just put your hand up on the object that you were trying to insert it on, and then put your hand straight down underneath that, and you will be able to find your socket. Okay, in order to stick that on there, I went up under here, through just like this, and I took my socket right here. I put it on the 13mm nuts. You can see it wiggling around down there. Now, normally I like working in tight places, but in this situation, I think a universal or a wobble is going to work out best. Even with the wobble, you want to be as straight as possible. So I took it and ran it underneath that radiator line and then underneath them two AC lines right there, and I've got it hooked up. Now it's up here and I should be able to loosen it easily. For you youngins, if you didn't know, that's how you snap off a stem, a bolt head, or break your universal by not being as square as possible. And just like that, she's off. When you use any pneumatic tool, things are going to go much quicker. I promise, like noticeably super quicker. We don't often notice how much time it takes to ratchet off each individual nut. So no matter what it takes, getting a pneumatic tool into an awkward position to get something off is always going to be so much quicker over the long run of everything. You'll be surprised. Now, in the back of this AC compressor is what's called a crush sleeve. And I do believe that is what's holding this thing on. I really should have been trying to do this a different way. I should have realized that I needed to hit the longer top bolt to knock this back. Now, I've been messing with taking this AC compressor off of this car for a while, and if I would have remembered more than I've forgotten about, when I was removing this bolt from the compressor originally, I would have left the screw screwed in, a couple threads, and then hit it with a hammer, which would have tapped this back. Because when you tighten this down, it pulls this forward and locks it into place. That's a pro tip for you folks. I'm sorry I forgot, but now you know, and you don't have to do it the way I did it. Eventually, even if you didn't do it the way I did it, it will fall down if you wiggle it back and forth enough. Now, the bottom sensor works just like this top sensor. You slide the gray clip back, and then you push on it, and you're able to unplug it. But with it loose like this, I should be able to flip it over and unplug it. We've got this in a position where we can actually get to this sensor. We're going to push down on this gray clip right here. Yeah, I'm going to grab some pliers, pull that little plastic gray part out, and then I'll unplug it. Yeah, that should be just enough right there. Then that thing just really easily unplugs. Okay, so we're going to remove this 13mm right here, and we're going to pop this up. Now, most of the time, these new AC compressors are already going to have oil in them. This oil is PAG 46, and usually about the only way to get them is from the store in about 8 ounces. The suction side is this large size. You're going to spin the compressor clutch to suck down about 2 ounces into this thing. So while you look down inside there, you should be able to see the oil. I don't see any coming out of this. So I'm going to put 2 ounces down inside this hole right here and turn this clockwise to suck it inside there. Now, during this process, I'm also going to change the expansion valve. I think I'm going to make a separate video on that. I've got a full gasket kit. Even though sometimes when you buy these, they come with gaskets, this one didn't. It's probably going to be available down in the shop along with an affordable option of these AC compressors if you like. I don't really care either way. I'll also put some stuff down in the description below for Amazon, so forth and so on. I don't really measure this stuff, but what I'll do is I'll take and fill up the hole twice, and then I'll turn it to suck it down inside there. When I do that, should be enough. Doesn't need a ton. I don't think it makes much of a difference which way you do this. You could probably do it from up above. I took it out from up above. I think installing it from below seems to be the easiest for the most part. Leaning over the front of a truck that's really high is not very much fun. With my little pads, it's not bad laying on the ground. I thought when I was making this video that I was just going to put the belt on because it's a slip-on, slip-off belt. And I thought I was going to put the belt on, then try to insert the bolts. That's not going to happen. So then I spent 4 hours of my life going to make sure I had the right tools so I could show you folks. I couldn't find mine after hours of looking, and I've only used the damn thing a handful of times. But I do figure out a trick to show you and a way you can put this on without the tool. I tried every which way I could, even from above, trying to insert the bolts with the belt secured onto the pulley. None of that worked. Hopefully you don't waste your time doing it too. Okay, so I don't like what's going on with me prying on the body of this AC compressor that's brand new and cost over $300. So I'm going to take the belt off and try it a different way after I get the rest of the stuff installed. But I thought I'd show you folks some of that just so you don't try it. Or maybe you try it and you're like, hey, Clay, I beat you. You're a dumbass and I'm a badass. So now we're just going to install the AC compressor without the belt on it. All right, put your pen through your air compressor and hang the pen on that hole right there. Now, when you believe you have it near the position, take your pneumatic tool, 5mm, put it on there, put your other hand on the other side of the compressor, and as you work that tool, push the bolt through there and start it. All right. Resist the temptation to tighten that up because right now we still have a little bit of movement out of our AC compressor, and that's good for installing the belt. Okay, so now we need to install this serpentine belt. And if we look at this really closely, yeah, that thing has got to go a long ways. I tried to install it by putting the AC compressor on and having the belt on the AC compressor at the same time. That was no quarto. And not to mention a super huge waste of my freaking time and yours if you did. And the problem with using screwdrivers and stuff is you take the risk of tearing the belt, bending up the front of the compressor clutch. Only don't want to do that. So I went down to AutoZone because I couldn't find my $40 tool that I bought 3 years ago and I've only used a handful of times at best. We rented this thing, is about 43 bucks. I tried to use that stupid damn thing. I couldn't figure out how to use it. One of you will school me, but the way I did it was a lot simpler than this. And if you dig stuff like this, you want to check out my AC playlist because I show you how to do things so simple without spending money. You'll really enjoy it. At first, I tried to use this tool to try to figure out how to put this darn thing back on, but eventually I realized that wasn't a good idea. So with my left hand on the AC compressor and my right finger on the harmonic balancer, I start the belt and start turning it clockwise. I can't believe I just drove an hour for that tool and I didn't even need it. Oh. Down here on the harmonic, it's starting to come off. Maybe I did need that tool. I'm gonna kind of start over by moving it backwards and applying pressure on the top portion of the belt. Interesting. I move it backwards and it comes off the top. I move it forward and it comes off the harmonic. Really interesting. How the hell do you fix that? I guess before you go to put your belt on, you make sure that you're holding the top of it and pushing it over towards the engine block itself. Maybe that'll work. But then it starts coming off the bottom of here. A little bit of messing around, but yeah, this is definitely not doing what it's supposed to do. I try putting the tool up in there. Let's see if that pushes it back on. It's definitely not working the way it's supposed to. With a couple turns, it did turn back on. Now the belt's all flat. And I just wasted an hour of my life. 40 bucks going to get that damn thing. I only thought that that wouldn't work because I hadn't really tried it. Everybody had said it wouldn't work, but I assume that's because they were bumping the ignition and not turning it by hand like I did. So keep that in mind. That's a necessity. You want to check out the other stuff that I do with air conditioners because I'm really actually pretty freaking good at them damn things. And I will show you how to do things without spending money first. Always before I show you the way to do it. And I do things on the cheap. So please consider subscribing, clicking the notification, sharing my videos. Don't be the next of them. Be the absolute first of you. And I promise, I absolutely promise, if anyone else can do it, you can do it too. God bless, folks. Have the absolute best of days. And since you watched this far, if you've got a question for me, it's not baby mama drama, you need some help with your whip, look me up on Clay's AC and Auto Repair on Facebook. I will answer them for absolutely free and help you as much as I can.